Hi everybody, Zach here, and welcome to the 20th lesson of this RTS tutorial series. In this lesson, we will finish setting up our unit details. That said, fire up your editor, and I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the editor, and what we're going to do now is we are going to finish setting things up for our unit details. So, we're going to go into here, and we're going to import those images that you can download. If you have your own images you want to use, go for it. Just took these in my test file. So I'm just going to import those in. I'm going to go back to my, sorry, just getting my prep file correctly loaded up in front of me. I'm going to go back to my features in my unit master. And in here, where we have our unit image, just going to, I forgot to put that as a bool, so let's very quickly put that as a bool. I am going to open unit back up, and I'm going to create two new variables. They'll both be slate brushes, and they'll be male image, and this will be, as I mentioned, a slate brush. And these will also be of the category unit legend. And do the same here. This will be female image, and this will also be of legend. I'm going to compile. In the male, I'm just going to open this up, and I'm going to type in male, and put male unit picture. And in here, I'm going to do something similar. There we go. And I'm going to set male image here. Oh, wow. Okay, drag that in. Get. Why are these not compatible? Oh, whoa, whoa, whoops, I've got to set this properly last time. So let's just fix that. That will be slate brush. We'll get a little error. Yep, change the variable type. Just going to list where you have the variables. We know where they're at. They're right in front of us. And do the same down here. You may be wondering, why don't we just plug this male into there and this female into there? Well, because when we do the HUD, that'll make it really confusing. By using the same variables between the two, but setting them differently, we don't have as much code to write or much scripting to do for the HUD, or for other things we might need to do later. So compile and save. We are actually now done with this function, at least for this section of the tutorial. Next, we're going to go back to our event graph for a moment. And we are going to do what we usually do. We are going to do a reference cast or two. So we're actually going to do a whole bunch of reference casts. We're going to use these for various things. So I'm actually going to just create my macro like I usually do. And that will be execute and then. So execute of type execute. And then of type execute. We're going to just drag this out because we're going to need a lot of room. Well, not that much, really. So, first thing I'm going to get is my player state. Ooh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Huh. I don't mean player state, I mean game state. Sorry about that. I don't know why I thought player state. We'll deal with, yeah. And we're going to cast to our RTS. So, RTS game state. I misread that earlier. I thought it said something else. And we're going to drag off of here. And we will set to variable. This will be our game state ref. And like usual, this will just be in our references folder. The next thing we will do is we will create a reference. So the reason why we're doing this is our unit birthday will actually be controlled by our game state. And I'll explain why when we get to our unit birthday. The next thing we need to do is get our controller. And we'll actually have to change this one down the road when we get rid of that little cheat code that we're using, that V to spawn them in. But this is just to make sure that we can actually get the correct information passed along later on. So, I mean later on is later on in this lesson. So we're going to do RTS player controller. Again, we're going to change these two later because we won't need them. But we will need them for this bit while we are setting it up. And we will then promote variable. This will be our controller ref. Sorry, my contacts started to fall as I wrote that. I don't know why I just clicked there. This will, of course, will be one of our references. And then we actually will have another reference we're going to put in, but we do that later. That will happen during the HUD episode. I'm just going to compile and save this for now. Close. Ooh, I forgot to name this, so I'm just going to F2, and this will be reference casts as usual. The category will be of on play as usual. Going to compile and save. Go to my event graph, plug this in. Now, I want you to notice that what we're going to do, as I said, is we're going to change this, as I said, and we're going to use this bit to help our our unit age properly increment. So, we will have a bit more coming off of this. Actually, you know what? We're going to have that a little bit differently, though. We're actually going to move this down here. We're going to add in a fourth pin. Just to give you an idea that there are going to be other things in here. This will handle in the HUD episode, and this one we're going to handle now. So we're going to create a new function. So I'm just going to open this up, and you probably guess where it's going to go based on which ones I opened. This will be set unit birthday, and this will be, again, unit, oh, hang on, I already have this in here. Unit details, there we go. So, in unit details, I'm just going to go back to my event graph, and I'm going to grab this, I'm going to copy, and I'm going to paste it. What we're going to do is we're going to be a little bit cute, and we're going to say that the birthday of the unit, if it's spawned in, is the day it spawns in. So to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to get a reference to our game state. We are going to drag off of here, and we're going to target year. So get year. And then we're going to drag off of here, and we are going to do integer minus integer. And we're going to minus this, minus from this is the unit age. So put our unit age in there, and this would give us our birth year. So if we drag up this way, and we do promote to variable, we will name this variable birth year. This will be of type details. So make sure it actually loaded in the correct spot. And we're going to plug that into there. So reroute in, move this down here, and move that down there, raise that. And just going to make everything a little bit neater and tighter looking there. There we go. And the next thing we are going to do is we are then going to drag in our game state again, and we will drag off of this, and we will do day. We'll drag off of it again, and we will do month. As I said, we are setting the unit that spawns in to have a birthday of the day it spawns in. Our starting units or special units will get a different one. So what we'll do off of this then is we will drag off of this day, and we will promote to variable, and this will be birthday. It let me. My earlier version of this, it wouldn't let me name it birthday. And this will be of type details. I'm just going to plug this, just going to move all of this over here. Plug that in, raise it up a bit. And then off of month, we are going to do the same thing, promote to variable. This will be birth month. Joys my contacts falling out as I do. This means I start to misread what I've written. Sorry for the extra noise there. I'm just getting closer to the screen, and my chair decided to hit the desk as I did that. So just plug that into details again, and we're just going to plug it into here. And we are done with our unit that is spawned in. Now, again, we are just going to copy this bit of code minus that reroute node, and we're going to duplicate it down here. We're going to plug the false into that. Remember, because the age is automatically random, so we can't, we have to do it this way. Now, for birth month, I'm actually going to copy just these two nodes as well, just to make my life a little bit easier. For birth month, what we're going to do is we are just going to drag off of here, and we're going to type in random. We'll do integer in range, and we'll do this from 1 to 12. So that will represent, January to December. The next bit is going to be a little bit weird, so we're just going to drag out here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do random integer in range, and this will be 1, the first of the month, to the 31st. Because, I know a lot of people born on February 31st. If you don't get the joke, think about it for a second. Right-click down here, do days in month. And for this, what we will do is we will take our birth year, which we've already set, and we will put it into there. And because we've... sorry. Unhook that, unhook that, unhook that. Move these two around, plug that in. That should be month. This will be day. Because we've already set our month, we can just plug our month right into the month here. That's why that order is important. Sorry about that. Next, as I said, I know a lot of people born on February 31st. We are going to clamp our integer. So the value we're going to clamp is the return value from this random range. The max value will be the number of days in the month. That way we can't get someone born on the 31st or 30th of February and only get someone on the 29th on leap years. Now, I've created an array for this, which I am not going to do in this episode. You can if you want. I don't actually use that array. So I'm just going to save this. I'm going to then close out my set birthday. And I am going to plug this into my third pin here. I am not going to set this on my construction script. The reason why I won't set this on my construction script is, honestly, we could actually get rid of this as spawned in. It's just useful for other features you might want to add in. The reason why we're not putting this on our construction script is simply the fact that it calls our game state ref. We don't cast our reference until on event begin play. The construction script technically fires a tick or two before the point that we actually get this information. So we would get an error if we tried it that way. So we now have this all pretty much set up, except for the HUD, which will go into this bit here. Or at least, creating the HUD. Next, we are going to then go down here. We are going to do a custom event. And this custom event will be birthday. Oh, that's why I couldn't name it. Birthday check is what we'll name it. Because it's a little bit more accurate to what we're doing with this. We're doing a check if it's the birthday. So we're going to drag off of here. We're going to type in branch. Now, before I go any further, the reason why we've casted the game state, there are a few ways we could do this. We could have the unit check for its own birthday by putting an event tick. We can have it check on tick. We would then have to put things up here to activate or to delay that tick from starting, or create a custom event with a delay up here in the event begin play when it gets called. But the big issue isn't the complexity of the coding. It's actually relatively simple. The big issue, however, is if you have 100 units on the map, that's 100 units running that all at once. Whereas if you have, say, the game state telling the units to check, it's a lot less resource and heavy. Yes, all the units have to check, but they check once. And you'll see where and how they check once, instead of on the tick or on a looped timer that is actually a little bit complex to set up. The timer, that is. So we are going to grab our game state. And yeah, I realized I said earlier it's easy code. The hard part is the timer from that. We're going to drag off of here, and we're going to do month. We're going to get that. We're going to drag down here, and we're going to do day, and we're going to get that as well. Just going to set this up a little bit neater for my tastes. And I'm going to get my birth month from here, and I'm going to just put it there. And, sorry, I'm going to line it up, and do the same for day. And just going to plug it into there. And I want to know, is this equal to my birth month? So is our current month equal to my birth month? We're going to do the same for day. Is the day equal to the birth day? So is it, if they're born on the 3rd or the 14th based on our start timer, is this day currently the 14th? Oop, sorry. Now, you notice we have one branch here, so we're not going to check twice. That would actually be rather intensive. What we're going to do is we're going to pass in two conditions by typing in and plugging these two bool outputs together in this and plugging that into our condition. So it now has to satisfy both of these for this to fire. What we're going to do is then we're going to drag in a unit age. We're just going to get it, and we are going to increment it. So type in inc and increment int. So this will increase it by 1 every time. You could alternatively do integer plus integer and leave this value as 1, but I just prefer to do it this way. So we're just going to set that there, move that pin up there, and off of this what we're going to do is we're going to take our unit age and we're going to set it. So now we'll increment our unit age by 1. We're going to compile and save, and we are done with this for today. We will add more in, but what we'll add in will be simply elements related to our HUD. So go ahead and close this out. Before we go into the more complex stuff, we're going to go into our player. We are going to our player controller, and in our controller, off this return value, what we are going to do is we are going to declare a variable that we can call later on. And what that variable is going to be will be our spawned unit. So promote to variable spawned unit, and this will be of type. Actually, we're not going to put this as a type because we're going to delete this down the road. But what we do want is to have this exposed. So we're going to compile and save that. And as I said, we're going to, when we get rid of this, sorry, I'm going to get rid of the break that's still there. When we get rid of this, we're actually going to move the spawned unit somewhere else. Compile and save, close that out. Go to your game settings library, open your game state. And in your game state, I'm just going to make my life a little bit easier. I'm going to move these closer. Yeah, I know, I said I'm done in the commented section. Yeah, we've done everything we need to do for the game clock. But we're going to take some information from this game clock. We're just going to add a reroute node in so it's a bit prettier. And it's going to make it a little bit easier for the next bit I want to do. So I'm going to drag off of here. And I'm going to do equal equals. And notice I'm outside of the comment right now. And I'm going to set it to 1. The reason I'm not calling it instance of this is it only ever becomes 1 and then resets to 0. And that happens in the span of a tick. I've had issues when I try to use a getter like this, or take a put a getter in, because it just gives me issues where it somehow misses it every so often. We're going to create a branch off of this, and we'll plug the branch into there. So what we want is, we want this to fire off every time day count equals 1. So it fires off when it hits midnight. When it hits midnight, it fires for 1 tick, turns into 1, fire, and then resets in the next tick back to 0. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to our references. We already have our controller. We're going to get that. And we are going to do what we did earlier, like with the is paused in our resource spawner. We're going to call a variable from here, and that will be get spawned unit. From get spawned unit, we will call the birthday check function, and we will plug that into the true. We'll compile and save, And that closes out what we need to do with this, actually. So I'm just going to save that again, close that out, Control S saves out of paranoia, and I'm going to hit play. And I am going to then just spawn in, actually I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to turn this off, actually, and I'm going to go to my widget, and I'm going to go to my game time. And this is just for debugging purposes. In my game time, I'm going to go to my game speed set, and I am going to set this to, if we add a few zeros in so it's insanely fast, hit play, or hit save as well. I'm going to go into here, hit play, and what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to make sure it is insanely fast. Oh god, it is. So just put that there. So we're the 22nd of February, spawn in 1 unit, actually spawn in 2. Well, let's hopefully get 1 male, 1 female, but, ooh. The reason we got that error, by the way, is simply because we hit that speed up before we spawned in any units. That is something we'll clean up later on, don't worry. So we're just going to spawn in a unit. We're going to hit pause. And to show you that happened because it rolled over without a unit spawned in, if we hit close, you don't get that error. Try that one more time. Hit pause. Spawn the unit in. Getting a lot of women in a row there, which we can talk about different ways of controlling for which units show up, so you get a more even split. And what I want to do is I want to go into my game state for a minute. Or sorry, not game state. Yeah, I want game state. That's not the game state though. Just gonna go in here for a minute. And as you can see, it's checking here. It's hitting the false, so nothing's coming out because the tick is still going, but the clock is turned off. And I'm also going to open up my units as well. Sorry, let me go back this way. Actually, we don't even need to think about this, so let's just go back to the unit for a second. We are going to look in the features, and we're going to make sure everything is right. So sex should be 1. It is. So we have that pink color. The name of our unit is Alexis Parker. Interesting. The age is 64. Take note of this value. The age is 64. That's what we care about. And then let's just go into here, and we're going to leave that on. We're going to go back into our game state, actually. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to unpause this. We're going to speed this up. We're going to go, actually, hang on. Before we go any further, unpause that for a second. There's one more thing I want to show you really quickly as I'm thinking about it. Let's go to our birthday and make sure that it was I think it was the 22nd we paused on. I'm not so worried about the year. Ooh, sorry, I am suddenly lagging there. Not sure what happened there. But our birthday was oh, I spawned it on the 14th. Oh yeah, I spawned it on the 14th. I was thinking about the earlier video, or the earlier playthrough. So we spawned it on the 14th of February, so that is right. Now let's go back here. Actually back here. And when this hits February 14th, 2020, the age should increment. But what we're going to do, we're just going to go in here for a second, and you can see that it's firing off every so often. If the game were a bit slower, you wouldn't see it flicker like this. It would happen rarely. So let's go back here. We're in July, August. That is really annoying to watch, actually. So we're going to go back into our graph. And we're going to go to our event graph. And you can see that it's firing the birthday check. Nothing is happening, so we haven't hit the correct date yet. The second we see that light up, we are going to pause the game and check the age. And remember, she is 65. It's kind of boring to watch, so let's go back here to our thing where we can have a flashing light strobe at us for a little bit. Okay, that again is really painful to watch for me, so I'm just going to go back here. And imagine if this is happening every second on a whole bunch of these. And I think it just went. No, it didn't. Still 65. There we go. And it went up to 66. So we know our unit age works. And as that was painful to watch, what we're going to do is just quickly undo our game speed time jump there back to 0.25. And I'm going to compile and save. We'll close these out. And in the next video, we will set up our our HUD for our units. So that when we right-click our units, if we do not have a unit selected, we will get the HUD. After that, we will then either do vehicle or marquee selection. I haven't quite decided what the order of those two will be just yet. Though, of course, I will actually probably have decided by the time I've uploaded this, so there might be a nice little tooltip that says, or card that will pop up to say this. Go away, autosave. I've saved everything. Save all. Thank you. That said, if you like this tutorial and you want to help the channel grow, go ahead and hit that like icon. Make sure to hit the notify and subscribe icon so you know when the next tutorial is out. And again, feel free to join me on my Discord channel. There's always been a link on the bottom of the description. Or join me in Twitter or Reddit if you want to provide feedback in terms of things you want to see in this series. That said, I hope to see you in the next video, and as always, I hope that you have a wonderful day.